I'm Felina.
And I'm Summer.
And you are listening to Broken Broken.
Because we're both.
The podcast about living your best life by getting real.
Hey, broken people. This is Summer.
And this is Felina. And we don't have any guests for this episode. It's just the two of us. I guess this could be perceived as just me bitching or venting. But I wanted to talk about something that is really affecting my life, and I see it affect a lot of other people's lives, not just women, although I do see this issue affect women more. I think it's, this isn't anything new, that women there's just more expected of us, in terms, I'm a single mom. I hang out with a lot of single moms. I know a lot of single moms, a lot of professional single moms who are trying to, who live their life like me. Or maybe they do a better job than me. Maybe they don't have a gigantic pile of laundry constantly in their room where they have to dig through it every morning for a clean shirt. And maybe they hang their shit up. Maybe they're
I don't, but
maybe they've cleaned their toilets recently. Maybe their dishes aren't overflowing all the time. Maybe their trash can doesn't stink and isn't overflowing. But that's how I live my life, because there are multiple things. My priority list is such that the bottom of the barrel is housekeeping. Right. You're going to come to my house. It's going to be a hot mess. If you want to judge me by that, which is often something women get judged for, then you're probably not my type of person. I'm getting off topic here. I guess I say all that to say that it is really extremely difficult to manage the kind of life that I have and do all of the things that I have going on with fibromyalgia. I've got an autoimmune disease that has often been classified as something that is not real. Even I've seen it in my boss's faces in their snide responses when I've just had such a debilitating fibromyalgia flare-up, which is usually caused by excessive stress, which I experience in loads at my job, and not because of the actual job itself, but because of internal people putting unnecessary stress on me, because of my boss putting unnecessary stress on me for arbitrary deadlines, just because he wants me to do something because he wants it done, not because there's any outside deadline. There's no court that he wants it done. He calls it, it's completely unpredictable. 30 minutes before the end of the day on a Friday, being tasked with something urgent. That's just not reasonable, and it causes unnecessary stress.
Right.
And that unnecessary stress and that unhappiness at work, and this is where it gets to, I think, something that a lot of women can relate to, is dealing with unnecessary stress at work that is not even related to the job itself, but rather related to, an ego of somebody that you work with or whatever, causing unnecessary drama, unnecessary stress. Anybody with an autoimmune illness like myself, you can only take so much of that mentally before it starts affecting you physically.
Yes.
And once it crosses that threshold where my body is physically incapable of moving forward because I'm in so much pain, and fibromyalgia is no fucking joke.
Can you explain to people what happens, because a lot of people don't know.
Right. So there's several theories on what's actually happening inside your body. It's very difficult to diagnose because there's no blood test or definitive objective standard for it. It's measured by specific pain points on your body. It's also a hypersensitivity in your brain where you're perceiving pain more intensely than someone else. So that's why antidepressants, SSRIs, are often used to treat fibromyalgia, because it numbs, just like it's numbing your emotions. But it's interesting because that specific drug is used to help mental illness, mental health and depression, but also used to manage a physical manifestation of that, which just, is a reminder that...
It's all connected.
Yes, your mind and body, it's all connected, and you have to treat the whole person. But what happens is, okay, so first, the physical symptoms of fibromyalgia. I had a really, really bad flare-up yesterday. Really bad. To the point where I woke up in the morning earlier than needed because I was in so much pain. And it feels like every fluid sac around every joint I have is on fire. So around my elbows, around my knees, around my hips. And then, oftentimes my flare-ups are triggered by something I ate or, again, stress and your body trying to process stress.
Is it basically anything that causes inflammation?
Right. And so I can feel it. I will feel it in my kidneys, like in my lower back. It feels like there are hot, fiery balls inside my body. And I'll have knots all the way up my spine, through my neck, my legs. And I'll feel so inflamed. Like I have this gigantic ice pack that you'd think it'd be super uncomfortable to lay on, but I want an ice bath. Like I'm just so inflamed. It hurts so bad. It's so, I can't do anything. I can't really lift my arms. It's in my lymph nodes underneath my arms on each side. It's in my chest muscles above my, in my breast, like above my breast. It's in my arms. It's in my fingers. It's in my toes. It's everywhere. It hurts so bad. And I will get in a position on my couch where I have like all the cushions around me and everything propped up just so I can just barely manage the pain. And like yesterday, I spent the day in my robe until like 1:00 because, on the outside looking in, it probably looked like I was just having like a lazy day and doing some self-care or whatever. But no, like I was physically incapable of doing anything else. If I would have had to work, I would have had to call in.
Right.
And I've had to call in for a flare-up before, and my boss, like I'll go back to work the next day or two later and he'll like, oh, did you have a good mental health day? Like, fuck you. Like, I was in so much fucking pain, you wouldn't even know what to do with it. Because my pain threshold is 10 times that of any man that I work with.
Well, even if it was a mental health day,
maybe that's
what the fuck kind of comment is that?
Oh, it's just
people
goes
need
back to
those.
all the other comments I've gotten from them, man. But I digress. But the thing is that when you're dealing with so much stress, think about all these single moms and that are, they've got a house full of kids and laundry, and you can't even find anything to eat in my refrigerator right now. Like, I've got to go to the grocery store when we're done doing this. And it's 7 p.m. on a Sunday, and I'm just now getting around to being able to do very basic chores to take care of myself and my family because I've been in so much physical pain from the stress of my job and the stress of my life. And granted, I probably put some of it on myself, but I'm just trying to get ahead in this world, I'm trying to make a living and hopefully get to a point where I don't have to answer to someone else. And it just seems like we're on a fucking hamster wheel because the harder I work, the more stress it causes me, the more stress I am caused, the physical manifestation of that comes over me in the form of fibromyalgia flare-ups. Then I'm out for a day or two, and losing 24 hours for me is terrible because I have so much shit to do all the time.
That's too long. You can't afford it.
Yeah, and I lost a full 24 hours because of a fibro flare-up, and now I'm just more stressed out because of the lack of time.
Yeah.
And this is how I'm living my life, and it's just unrealistic. It's at a pace that I can't keep up with. I know I'm not alone in this.
No, absolutely not.
Sediment. I know that this is something that a lot of women, a lot of single women who have children that's where they're at. My relationships with people who I love and care about suffer. you know, I suffer, my daughter suffers, and it, you know, just, and I'm just trying to work a job to provide for my kid.
Right.
And it's, I don't know. It just seems very hopeless. And so, you know, there's this other part of it that, with fibromyalgia, the only thing that's ever given for it is just pills.
Right.
You know, I talked about antidepressants, but those essentially numb your symptoms, and it's not like you stop having flare-ups, you just don't feel it as badly.
Right.
And when you do finally feel it, it's because it's so bad that you've reached a new pain level, and your body is so upset with you that it's far worse than if you just wouldn't have been on an SSRI and have felt it coming on. I personally like to see it as a gift that I'm hypersensitive to what's going on in my body, and if I have the time to cook for myself, to pay attention to that, to sleep right, to do all the things I need to do, then I can keep the symptoms at bay. But I don't have time, and so no one has time. You know, the 40-hour work week is such bullshit. It's such a bullshit. We're not supposed to live our lives like this, you know. And I work with men who work more than 40 hours a week because it's the only thing they know in their life, the only thing they care about, and they don't understand.
Well, most of them aren't doing all the other stuff.
Well, they all have wives at home,
right? That are taking care of all
shit
everything
that
else.
they don't even realize is being done because they're ungrateful assholes. But you know, and I've been an ungrateful asshole. When I was married to my ex-husband, he did a bunch of shit that I didn't even realize he did until we were divorced. And I was like, damn.
And then you're like, why is this not getting done?
Yeah, like, damn, I gotta take the fucking trash out myself. Ugh, okay. But, you know, it's just an unrealistic way to live your life. And so many people are doing it all the time. And
too many people are just...
we suffer.
They're suffering because they're miserable in jobs that they don't want or enjoy. I've talked to a lot of people who, and it's not even necessarily I need this much money to live. It's just the whole status of it, and so they're killing themselves literally.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna end up in an early grave,
right,
doing this shit. Like this stress is gonna fucking kill me.
And that's what I've been trying to explain to people, because you know, I've talked about it on here. I let my bar admissions expire at the end of last year. You know, I left private practice. The number of people, I should have kept count, I should have kept a list of people that have like been openly critical to me about this. Like, why would you go through all of that and then not practice? You're supposed to be in court. You're supposed to do this. I'm like, because I hate it. And it was killing me.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
I'm not going to die at 40 just because, so I could say, oh, I'm a lawyer.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. I have no ego about it. I don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, do what you love.
Yeah.
Or can at least tolerate. That's not going to make you sick all the time and kill you.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, I am getting sick more often. I'm having far more fibromyalgia flare-ups. My body is unhappy.
Right.
You know, I'm unhappy, therefore my body's unhappy in this situation. And I'm not going to take the pills that doctors prescribe. I mean, for fibromyalgia, they prescribe pain medication. Right. The thing is that part of what's causing the pain is, like I said, it feels like every sac of fluid around every joint is inflamed. Well, those are toxins that your body has absorbed, and opioids and acetaminophen and all of those like all muscle relaxers, they have the acetaminophen in them, and you know, pain pills have, you know, just the chemicals, all of it. Like, your body absorbs it and ultimately ends up making you hurt worse. Then it may mask the symptoms.
Yeah, it's not fixing what's the problem. Right. It's just making you not feel it for the
mask.
moment.
Yeah, and once those wear off, you know, you feel the pain 10 times worse because you've made it worse, because you fed your body a bunch of shitty ass chemicals and toxins that your body doesn't want, and now it's being stored in your body and causing more inflammation.
Well, especially the opioids. Because once that, you know, as soon as that dose wears off, you're now more sensitive to pain. And that's why you have to increase the dose over and over. And it just traps people in that cycle.
Yeah. And so I don't take anything for it. I recently hurt my back pretty badly. and I had to take some steroids and get a steroid injection in my back, and it's called prednisone. It caused me to look like it looked like I gained like 20 pounds overnight. Like, it made me super fucking swollen, and it was just I was like uncomfortable in my own skin. Like, it made the inflammation worse in some ways. So again, like, there's no medication. The only thing that makes it better is taking the real time I need to actually take care of myself.
Right.
To eat right, to exercise properly, to sleep when I need to be sleeping, to clear my environment so that I can relax and breathe, to do all those things, those self-care things that we put on the back burner. But those are the only things that ultimately keep fibromyalgia flare-ups at bay for me. Mm-hmm. And I don't have the time to take care of myself because my fucking job is killing me. So
right,
it's a catch-22. Like, I always feel like I can't get caught up with my physical health and my mental health and my job. Like, I can't keep up with it, and it's just, I don't know. I just wanted to bring this up, in part because I want to have a bigger conversation about it. I think fibromyalgia and chronic pain in and of themselves are huge topics of interest. Mm-hmm. I'd love to talk to anybody who is suffering from chronic pain and who has, struggled with pain pill addictions, alternative remedies, whatever your unique struggle has been with chronic pain or like an autoimmune disease. I'd love to talk to anybody about that, especially people who are also professionals and trying to, push past the pain so they can continue to provide for their families and work.
Right.
It's really difficult. It's not a silent, it's something that people who have it suffer in silence with a lot. I know I do. Mm-hmm. I mean, I put on a brave face and just keep pushing forward. Yeah. Because I've gotten trained to believe it. No one's going to believe me anyways. Exactly. You can't see it. There's no open wound bleeding. Mm-hmm. I'd rather have a fucking open ass wound on my arm or whatever.
So at least people will tell you it's not really there.
Yeah. Yeah, it just hurts so fucking bad when it flares up. And I have to cancel plans. People just think I'm being flaky. I'm like, dude, I'm fucking suffering over here.
I've had people call me lazy. Because when I get to that point and I can't, because there's sometimes I just can't get out of bed. And my kids know that. Like, they haven't reached a diagnosis yet. It's a weird inflammation thing that happens. I also have chronic systemic candida. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I can tell when it's going to happen. Like, all my tattoos will start pushing out. Like, do you have that too? Yes. And I'm like, oh God, I need to slow down because I'm starting to, and I'll start taking herbs that help with inflammation and stuff, and sometimes that helps. But if I'm overscheduled or something and I can't really, then mm-hmm. I'll end up sick. And my kids just know, I'm like, guys, I have to go lay down. I'm not okay right now. And they'll they're used to that. But adults are horrible. They're just like, oh, you're just being lazy. I'm just like, yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. I'm like, because I almost died from this when my 16-year-old was a baby. And because the candida, my immune system shut down so much, the candida took over and it was attacking my organs. I have a scar here on my lip that peels sometimes, and people are like, why are your lips always chapped? I'm like, yeah, but it's really not. It's a scar because mm-hmm. there was a giant hole in my lip where it had actually eaten into. Oh my God. Yeah, it was pretty horrible. Wow. But people are, they can't see it, right? I mean, at that point they could, because I had gotten, I'm 5'8", and I weighed like 108 pounds. Oh my God. There's pictures of me somewhere that I took pictures with my sister because we really thought I was going to die, and this is probably going to be the last pictures we got. I look horrible. I look like a skeleton. It's awful. My skin's like a weird color. Yeah, whenever I have a pretty bad flare-up like yesterday, like you could see it in my face. Mm-hmm. Like I had just, my eyes were super swollen mm-hmm. underneath and dark, and my skin was kind of a pale
like I look gray.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you get that pallor. But until you get to that point and you look that awful, people are just like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, what is wrong with people? How can they not understand? But I guess if they, aren't watching you bleeding on the floor, then nothing's wrong with you and you're fine.
Yeah. But, and I wanted to bring this up also because I'm going to, over the next few weeks, release a 3 or 4 part series, I'm not quite sure, on the story of what happened to my mom. I've been wanting to write a book on it, and maybe I've written some pages, quite a few in fact, but I'd almost rather tell it in this forum and see if there's anybody who would want to join in the conversation or help participate in putting together a book. Because I know she's not alone, but
absolutely.
I mean, essentially, modern medicine killed my mother,
right?
And the whole the topic of our health system is overwhelming. It's so broken that it's, when I think about it, I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. And so I'm hoping through doing this, I can start. I can use what happened to her starting in her, early 20s when she was first diagnosed with fibromyalgia to see, how she ended up at age 54 dead,
right?
With the, laundry list of medication that she was on. That ultimately is what killed her, and not any of the illnesses.
Right.
We failed her. We fucking failed her and killed her. And it's fucking terrible. And I want to tell the story because it's been such I know I'm not alone, but the way that it played out in my life, it has, I feel like it's a story that needs to be told so badly, for no other reason, just for other people to be able to relate to it, because I know there's so many other people who are suffering from something similar. So, so yeah, that's going to be coming up, and just kind of wanted to have a quick episode this week to give some foreshadowing of what's to come, to invite anybody who has dealt with these issues, chronic pain, fibromyalgia, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, any of those autoimmune illnesses. I know there's plenty that I haven't mentioned. Anybody who would want to talk about their experiences with physicians, with pill pushers. I mean, I categorize a lot of doctors as, they're the modern day drug dealers.
Oh, absolutely. My mother, she has fibromyalgia and a host of other issues. She's diabetic, CHF, all this. And she's a nurse too, like your mom was. And that's the one thing she says, all these doctors, they try to push pills at her, and she's literally yelled at doctors in their offices, like, no, I don't want this. I need you to be dealing with this problem. Yeah. Not just giving me a pill to take care of what this last pill did, to take care of what this last pill did. Yep. And she said, and she'll come home so upset. She's like, I am a nurse, so I know that this is the problem. But what the hell is happening to all these people who don't? Yeah. They're just taking this because the doctor's the one who's supposed to know, and it's killing them. It's
such a breach of the Hippocratic Oath, I feel like, as well. Because you can't tell me that so many of these brilliant doctors don't know better, that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Right. Come on. No, every single one of them who is a pill pusher should fucking be sued. Like, it pisses me off to no end.
I had a doctor trying to give me pain meds for my migraines while refusing to give me birth control to control them, because they're mostly hormone related. The worst ones are hormone related. So I'm like, just give me the birth control pills so we can, cut this down and kind of regulate it. She didn't want to give me something I have to take every day, but she'll give me fucking opiates? I'm sorry, what? No.
Yeah. Yeah, so I really want to have this episode. I'm hoping we hashtag it properly to where
we need to work on that,
where
yes.
people can chime in. I'd love to get a few people lined up beforehand.
That'd be great. And if you're afraid to talk on the air, send us an email with what you'd like us to say. We can change your name if you want us to.
Yeah, if you don't want to tell a doctor's name, your name, whatever. I just really want to hear from people who have had similar experiences or going through something similar with a family member, with themselves, whatever. But, I mean, modern medicine is killing us. I'm going to talk about how it killed my mom and tell her story in detail as much as I can. And so that'll be coming up in a 2, 3, 4 part series. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see what it turns into.
How long it takes
definitely.
to share. So please send us your feedback or your interest if you're interested in participating and talking to us about that.
You can contact the podcast at brokebrokenpodcast@gmail.com. The Broken Podcast can be found on Twitter @BrokeBrokenShow, on Instagram and Facebook @BrokeBrokenPodcast.